Well, welcome into Weather Nation here at 10 till the next hour, where we're looking at a tornado warning in the Concord area of North Carolina. This is just to the northeast of the Charlotte area in Cabarrus County, and it's moving towards the northeast fairly quickly as well. So we want to get you the latest on this warning information. We'll zoom in on it. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning. We'll get to those details in just a moment, but this is moving right into the Concord area. So we see that it's got a lot of lightning. We'll clear that off so we can see a better, clear picture here, but we do have this tornado warning. Like I said, that's until 2:15 this afternoon for Eastern time. Looking at the velocity right there around the Harrisburg area. So this is just outside of the University City area, where University of North Carolina at Charlotte is. That's just to the outside of this region. If we put that on the map, the University City is right here, Harrisburg right there, Concord. This is right where we're seeing this rotation. That's moving to your area right now. So if you're in Concord, if you know anyone who's out shopping at Concord Mills, maybe text them, make sure that they're getting into a safe place right now with this active tornado warning. So we'll clear off some of those marks as well, because this is moving, like I said, to the northeast fairly quickly, and we're likely going to be seeing the update of the radar continue to move it towards the northeast. But then we also have a severe thunderstorm warning here until 2:45 p.m. So this is for parts of Stanley County, Montgomery County, Anson County, and Richmond County. Again, this is until 2:45 this afternoon. So with this line of thunderstorms, we'll put on the regional radar and just loop this over the last little while. As we've seen this line continuing to push to the east and slightly northeast. This is an area where we could see the potential for tornadoes today. And of course, this is in an area where the radar coverage is a bit low. So we want to keep an eye on the area up to Salisbury, up to Lexington as well, because downstream of this storm, of course, these can sometimes be just very quick spin-ups, but it's still an environment where we could see continued rotation with these thunderstorms. So we're going to keep an eye on this over the next several minutes as well. Also, we've got some other thunderstorms here in the upstate of South Carolina and into the Midlands as well. I want to take a look at the velocities here, see if we notice any rotation. Some a little bit there outside of the Camden area, perhaps just a little bit of rotation right around here. So many of these storms we want to keep our eyes on. I'm going to look at some more details here, but for now I'm going to send it over to meteorologist Patrick Crawford for more on the forecast. Well, welcome back into Weather Nation. I'm meteorologist Kit Cloninger. We've got video here from Troutman, North Carolina, north of the Charlotte region, where we've seen some very heavy rain moving through, and recently around the area, some severe weather as well. Also in Mount Pleasant, North Carolina, strong winds we can see bringing down the sheets of very heavy rain. We're going to continue to track the risk for flooding in this area as well as we head through the next several hours today. Welcome into Weather Nation. Like I said, I'm meteorologist Kit Cloninger. We've got a few severe thunderstorm warnings we want to bring to your attention, but fortunately, we don't have any active tornado warnings. That one you see right there around the High Point area, just to the south there, it is set to expire at 2:45, but I believe we've actually canceled out all of those warnings. We'll have to wait for that to update in our system. Sometimes it lags behind just a little bit, but the main threat here is for parts of Randolph County, into parts of Davidson County as well, and even into Chatham County, where we've got the risk for a possible tornado. It's with this line of thunderstorms that we've seen the history of rotation. Most of that rotation has actually weakened. Let's take a look at the Raleigh radar velocities here. A little bit messy there, so we'll take a look from Columbia. Right there where you see that tornado warning right now in southern Davidson County is the area we've seen rotation around this region over the last several minutes here on Weather Nation. So that's an area where we've got that rotation. Like I said, whenever we look at the reds, those are going away from the radar, the greens are going towards, and that's where we get the low-level rotation. We've seen some potential damage out of parts of Concord here in Cabarrus County. This was earlier today that we saw the potential for that tornado to be going through. Of course, we were bringing you that information as we were receiving it as well, and we've gotten those reports of some damage around the Concord area. So we'll continue to look for any updates on this system and any other reports, but also here moving even towards the Fayetteville area, not quite to Fayetteville just yet, but in Moore County, parts of Richmond County continuing, and then into Scotland and Hoke County, we've got yet another severe thunderstorm thunderstorm warning for this area. So we've seen most of these warnings are just for 60-mile-per-hour winds and less than 1-inch diameter hail. So wind is the primary threat, coupled with the factor that we could see some quick rotation and potential for a tornado to touch down. Now, we also saw some video that we're working to get you as well of a wall cloud around the Concord area. So we've seen this part of North Carolina. It has fairly poor radar coverage. Most of the radar is very far away. So places like Asheboro, we're looking at over 3,500 feet into the air. Right here where we have that rotation right now, we'll go ahead and put that on from the Greenville-Spartanburg radar. That's looking at over 9,000 feet from that area. From the Raleigh radar, we're looking at only around 5,000 feet. So it's very difficult to see low-level features that are tornado features. So we're going to have to rely on any reports that we get in, and of course some of the upper-level data that we're seeing from radar coverage. Of course, this is out of Columbia, and we're seeing very much into the mid-levels of the storm. So we see some mid-level rotation. It's difficult to tell if that's making it to the ground. But of course, we will bring you the latest information as soon as we have it. But this isn't the only place that we're seeing some severe weather. We'll take you down to Georgia, where we're seeing some severe thunderstorm warning right now, just outside of the Waynesboro area. This is around Screven County, moving out of Jenkins County into the Sylvania area. So we can take a look at the Columbia radar. We do still see a bit of rotation with that as well, right here, just between Sylvania and Millen right there. So again, we've got those reds right against the greens. That's where we could see some potential for rotation. Of course, this is looking pretty high into the storm as well, around 7,000 feet. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. We've seen severe weather through North Carolina and expanding throughout the southeast over the last several hours this afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on Weather Nation. I'm meteorologist Kit Cloninger. You can see here in Mount Pleasant, North Carolina, from earlier today with those winds coming through, bringing the wind or the trees into motion, and a lot of heavy sheets of rain coming down. We also have a severe weather threat as well as a flooding threat today. Let's take a look at Viper radar now, as we do have several severe thunderstorm warnings and even a tornado warning that we want to bring to your attention right now. A few have just been recently added off to the north. So let's take a look at the Raleigh radar. This is into Caswell County, Pearson, Orange, and Alamance County. That's between the Greensboro and Durham areas in northern North Carolina. Into the Piedmont is where we've got all of these thunderstorms right now. But we do have a tornado warning into central North Carolina. This is just to the southwest of the Raleigh-Durham area, of course. Sanford, it has actually just been allowed to expire. So that is some good news for us. It was allowed to expire about 10 minutes early. So let's take a look at the velocities. As we've seen, the details of this storm have been developing over the last 20 minutes or so. We saw an area of rotation just to the east of Carthage. Of course, this is a canceled tornado warning. This is just previously, but just, west of the Carthage area, we saw this area of rotation, and it started to move towards the northeast. Now, notice it's still rotating here about 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago or so, and then it has significantly weakened here. That's around the area that we saw that rotation. So that's some good news that we're seeing the weakening of that couplet. And this is the thing with lines of thunderstorms like we have today. We're going to see them quickly spin up and quickly spin down. So that's going to be something that we've got to keep our eyes out for, as we could see this situation change quickly. So stay right here with Weather Nation. We'll bring you those details. Of course, also into the coastal plain of North Carolina, we've got a wide area of precipitation that's getting started here in the warm sector of this system. As we take a look at the southeast satellite imagery, we've seen around this area a lot more sunshine over the last several hours. Let's take off those warnings. Of course, they are still in effect, but let's take a look over the last couple of hours here. The last 3 hours, we've seen a lot of the sunlight that's been in this area across the lowlands of South Carolina into eastern North Carolina as well. So that's allowed for a lot of heat to build around this region, and that helps to get those thunderstorms going. If we take a look at some of those temperatures, we've got temperatures that are mostly into the 80s around some of this area. We can take a look at some of those places around Fayetteville. We've got a temperature 89 degrees, Wilmington at 90, around the Grand Strand 80 degrees, Charleston, you're at 87 as well. So a lot of heat here. The dew points are also pretty high. We've got dew points in the 70s. It feels muggy out there, and that's going to lead to some severe weather in the next several hours. We clear that off. We can look a little bit farther south where we've had some more severe thunderstorm warnings moving into the Tallahassee area as well recently. We've had warnings for 60 mile per hour winds and up to a quarter-inch hail as well as possible with some of these storms. So if you're in the Tallahassee area, keep an eye on this thunderstorm. We'll bring you more details a little bit later on. But now let's head out towards Texas, another place where we've got potential for severe. Denton, North Carolina, looks like a little time lapse here of lowering, possibly some scud, but possibly a wall cloud. Of course, we've seen a lot of rotation with these thunderstorms across the Carolinas over the last several hours this afternoon. We're going to continue with that into the evening. Thank you for joining us once again. We'll get to your Eastern regional forecast when we are able to, but we want to stay with some of those warnings that are ongoing. This is in North Carolina. Let's actually zoom out just a little bit to get a sense of where we are. This is northeast from the Raleigh-Durham area. Raleigh-Durham, you're not seeing any more of the thunderstorm activity right now. You may see more tonight, but you do still have active flash flood warnings from all the very heavy rain you've seen recently. This is moving towards the Roanoke Rapids area, though Roanoke Rapids, you are not within the tornado warning presently, but take a look at the shape of this system right now. We've got sort of this curly Q shape to it. That's usually when we see very high winds coming in from the backside, and we've got a considerable tag on this severe thunderstorm warning that's in the Henderson to Spring Hope area, Castilla, White Level, Ingleside as well, looking at the potential for 70 mile per hour winds within this storm. We take a look at the velocity. We see sort of that forward push, that bulge, those pink colors, those are very high winds within this thunderstorm, so we could see upwards of 60 mile per hour winds translated down to the surface, but also, of course, we do have that tornado warning. If we go back a few scans, we can see right there around the Ingleside area, that's where we saw a very tight couplet, a couplet just being two of these pixels right next to one another that have a large difference in the wind speed. We can take a look at that a little bit closer. So one pixel here showing up as 12 miles per hour, the other one at 82 miles per hour. So that's about a difference of 70-ish miles per hour. So that's where we're seeing the potential for that very quick rotation within this storm. So let's take a look as this pushes forward. It moved off towards the Inez area, and it has weakened a little bit. We've seen some of those brighter pixels into the hot pinks and oranges, but most of those have begun to diminish. So that is some good news. We aren't seeing as tight of a couplet, but we could still see rotation within this thunderstorm, and that could lead to tornadic activity. Right now, the beam is about 1,500 feet above the ground. Of course, tornadoes have to verify at the surface, so we need to keep an eye out for any more updates for that. Also, we have this severe thunderstorm warning in parts of Halifax County into the far northern corner of Edgecombe County and Nash County in North Carolina. I want to take you down to the upstate of South Carolina where we also have a tornado warning. The National Weather Service is considering the factors with this thunderstorm that it might cycle or redevelop its mesocyclone, the rotating part of the thunderstorm. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that for Greenville. Of course, many people live in this area on the north side of I-85. Zooming a little bit farther south, we want to take a look at some more thunderstorms that are here around the Statesboro to Millen area. This is in eastern Georgia right now, where we're seeing some fairly hefty thunderstorms right now. We could see the potential for hail and wind up to 60 miles per hour as indicated by radar. Hail is less of a threat with this thunderstorm, but we could still see up to 3/4 to an inch of diameter hail.